Hello, history enthusiasts. Welcome back to History Nuggets. Today, we're diving into one of the most pivotal events in American history, the Civil War. This conflict reshaped the nation, defined its values, and left a lasting legacy. So, let's explore the causes, major events, and key figures of the American Civil War. To understand the Civil War, we need to go back to the early 19th century. The United States was growing rapidly, but so were the tensions between the northern and southern states. The North was becoming more industrialized, while the South remained largely agricultural, relying heavily on slavery to support its economy. Slavery was the central issue. The abolitionist movement gained momentum in the North, advocating for the end of slavery. Southern states, on the other hand, saw abolition as a threat to their way of life and economy. This ideological divide grew deeper as new states were added to the Union, raising the question of whether they would be free or slave states. Tensions reached a boiling point with the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860. Lincoln, a member of the anti-slavery Republican Party, was seen as a direct threat by the Southern states. This led to the secession of 11 Southern states, forming the Confederate States of America, with Jefferson Davis as their president. The first shots of the Civil War were fired on April 12, 1861, at Fort Sumter in South Carolina. The Confederate attack on this federal fort marked the beginning of a brutal and costly conflict. Both sides initially believed the war would be short, but they were gravely mistaken. The Union, led by President Lincoln, aimed to preserve the nation and later, to end slavery. The Confederacy fought to establish itself as an independent nation, preserving its way of life, including the institution of slavery. The war saw numerous battles, each more devastating than the last. The First Battle of Bull Run shattered any illusions of a short conflict. The Battle of Antietam in 1862 became the bloodiest single day in American military history. And the Battle of Gettysburg in 1863 was a turning point, marking the beginning of the Confederacy's decline. Both sides were led by iconic figures. Abraham Lincoln, with his steadfast commitment to union and freedom, and Jefferson Davis, who embodied the Confederate cause. On the battlefield, Union generals like Ulysses S. Grant and William Tecumseh Sherman were pivotal. Grant's relentless campaigns and Sherman's march to the sea crippled the Confederacy. Confederate generals like Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson were celebrated for their tactical brilliance. Lee's invasions of the North were bold, but ultimately, the Confederacy couldn't match the Union's industrial might and manpower. In 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring all slaves in Confederate-held territory free. This transformed the war into a fight for human freedom and discouraged European powers from supporting the Confederacy. The proclamation also allowed African Americans to enlist in the Union Army, bolstering its numbers and morale. The bravery of black soldiers in battles like the assault on Fort Wagner highlighted their vital role in the Union's victory. The war drew to a close in 1865. General Lee surrendered to General Grant at Appomattox Courthouse on April 9, 1865. The Union was preserved, but the nation faced the enormous challenge of rebuilding. Tragically, just days after the surrender, President Lincoln was assassinated. His death left a nation mourning and facing the daunting task of reconstruction without his leadership. Reconstruction aimed to integrate formerly enslaved people into society and rebuild the South. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments abolished slavery, granted citizenship, and secured voting rights for Black Americans. However, the era was fraught with challenges, including resistance from Southern states and the rise of discriminatory Jim Crow laws. The Civil War fundamentally reshaped the United States. It ended slavery, but the struggle for civil rights continued for more than a century. The war's legacy is seen in America's ongoing efforts to achieve equality and justice. The conflict also accelerated technological and medical advancements, from railroads to battlefield medicine, many of which laid the groundwork for future progress. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the American Civil War. It's a sobering reminder of how far we've come and the sacrifices made to get here. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe to History Nuggets for more deep dives into history. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to stay updated on our latest content.